Really excited to talk to Vince Mancini here of The Content Report. He is the proprietor of basically the greatest Top Chef journalism of all time, the power rankings, the weekly power rankings that have been in circulation for years and years and years. Thank you so much for joining us on Pack Your Knives. Kevin's not here today, but you're stuck with me. And I just want to say thank you for all of the hilarious pros that you've given us over the years.
Oh, thank you. It's always what I've strived towards, is to be, recognized as like the foremost Top Chef recapper. So I really appreciate that introduction.
Did you originally start out with the conceit of power rankings? Did it evolve into power rankings?
I think we started out with power rankings. When I started Film Drunk, which is like way back in the day, it was sort of like part of the idea was that I was going to cover movies like people covered sports. And it was much more like established as like blogs were more of a sports writer's format, and I sort of tried to apply that to movies. And then with Top Chef, I was sort of trying to like apply a sportsy format to, Top Chef recaps, which I imagine is sort of what you guys do as well, right?
We don't do power rankings because that turf is all yours. It's hard to keep up with power rankings in general, but when you have to compete against you, Vince, it's impossible. I love reading it, and I want to say that at Substack, we're now kind of with the premium subscription that we do over here. It is a lot like on the sports side. I don't follow too many sport like film or TV Substacks, but how are you feeling in terms of this platform and where you were before? And do you feel like you're more loosey-goosey on the Substack independent platform than you were before? And do you feel like you're a better writer over here?
I mean, I was always pretty loosey-goosey, but I definitely, there's like probably like one or two jokes that wouldn't get through, on an ad-supported format. I love being answerable only to the people that read the content and not like any other outside entity. I mean, with any ad-supported format, I feel like you're trying to serve at least two masters. You're trying to appease advertisers and appease the sales guy at whatever your company is, and they're trying to. It's like 4 levels of people deep that you're trying to please, and it's nice to just write strictly for readers and then get like the instant dopamine hit of like, oh, people like it, and therefore now I have more subscribers. Like it's a very clear like feedback that you're getting on that, which is nice.
So it's Vince Mancini. Is it a Chini or is it Cini?
We've always said Cini, but I keep thinking that I should switch to Mancini because it's like more correct, but we've always said Mancini, so that's what we go with, yeah.
Okay, Vince Mancini, that's VINCE, like Vince Carter. That's a reference for the NBA fans out there. And then MANCINI.substack.com. So let's get into this. So we're 5 episodes in. How are you feeling about Top Chef this year?
I'm feeling good. Like, I don't know. I wasn't sure how it was going to go at first with, without Padma and with a new crop of people and just being like 21 seasons deep now. But I've also been recapping the show for like 9 years that I realized when I went back in the archives today.
It sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But I don't know. I'm still enjoying it. People seem like they're still watching it and still reading recaps. It's always up and down. I don't feel like there's ever like, oh, this Top Chef season's amazing, or oh, this one's terrible. Like, it's always pretty good, and I feel like it still is. What about you?
That's a very diplomatic answer. Were you just trying to feel out how I felt about things?
No, that was my honest feeling. I'm not a very diplomatic.
I hate this season, Vince. It's terrible. No, I'm really enjoying this season. I wish the food was a little better, but I think Kristen is an excellent host, and I also feel like she's bringing a different dynamic, kind of the pep talk stuff we've talked about, Kevin and I, where it's an added dynamic that the contestants are looking her as like a coach almost, like, hey, I needed that talk. Like, thanks, Kristen. But also she's bringing, I don't know if it's transparency or vulnerability or if it's candidness, where Padma was like last week, this most recent episode with Rasika going home. The moment when like Kristen was like, what the fuck is this challenge? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Was something that Padma would never have done, right?
You think?
I think she might have cracked a joke like, oh, what, like a side comment being like, yeah, well, I mean, I guess it works. Anything works on this challenge. But Kristen was just like, I feel like she was just more, I don't know, pulled the veneer down a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I'm of two minds because I agree with you. I feel like Kristen is less remote to the competitors because, she's a former contestant and she is, she was a model, but she's not like a world famous supermodel or whatever coming into this. Like I think they treat her as a fellow chef. And in that way, so she's less remote to them. But at the same time, Padma had a certain way of making everything sound kind of like sexual and cheeky that Kristen's bringing something different. Like she's more put together. Like Padma has like a little bit of like messy, cheeky, making things sound like double entendres even when they aren't aspect to her, which I really appreciated as a viewer. And Kristen's very like forthright and put together, which is like sort of a slightly different thing than Padma was bringing. But I definitely agree that, she definitely feels like she's coming into it on the contestant side more so than like on the production side, which was what probably Padma felt like.
Anything else different this season that you've been keying in on or things that you've noticed? Like music, obviously a little different this year, and then they're not in a Road Rules real world challenge house that they used to be in. They're in hotel rooms now. The show as a format has changed with the immunity challenge different this year. Anything particular that you've written about or you feel like, hey, this is different this year. Feels a lot different.
Feels like a little bit more that they don't do. It's funny because the episodes are longer this season, but it doesn't feel like they are doing as long of a segment on each like guest judge, where I feel like in the past the guest judge comes in and then there's like 4 cutaways of each chef being like, oh my gosh, he's like the original gangster of fast casual Canadian cuisine or whatever, and
everyone knows who he is. Like, wow, when he walked in, there's not any of that canned stuff.
It's sort of like that. They're trying to create that like FOMO, like, oh, I know who this guy is. Let me go Google him right now, kind of thing. I feel like they haven't been doing that as much. Like in this past episode, there was just a guest judge who just was just like, oh, he's there, introducing him, which was cool. Other than that, what's different? The editors seem to be having a little more fun, or at least they were in this last episode.
In particular with what?
Well, I mean, the big thing in the last episode was everybody trying to parse what Maddie Matheson was actually talking about when he introduced that challenge. It was just like, it's throw it on the floor, throw it on the ceiling, like stick it in your back pocket and throw it out the window. I just want to see you break rules. And everybody was kind of like, I don't know what the hell that means. And then there was like multiple editing packages where they sort of like trying to make it seem like a fantasy sequence in a movie or something, where it was like they cut it to make it sound like a voiceover and like had flashbacks with Danny and stuff. That was kind of fun.
Well, you had to on your Substack, you actually like a sports writer, like quoted Maddie Matheson, the full quote. The world is turning around us right now and it's getting faster. Life is wild.
That was how he started.
Yeah. That's boom. The world is turning around us right now. Oh man. Does anyone pass the blunt right here?
Yeah.
Life is wild. How crazy can it get? Chaos is an amalgamation of where did you come from? What have you learned? Where are you going? What's your let me get another hit of that. What's your culinary voice? Chaos is every single day. My mind is just absolutely chaos. Oh, really? I want you to do whatever you feel. Dream the biggest dream. Oh, now we're doing like inspirational. Okay. Take something, create it, destroy it, throw it on the floor, throw it up into the ceiling, use techniques you've never used before. Maddie Matheson.
Yeah, wow.
Talk about chaos. That was a speech, man. A speech and a half.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was more just him talking like an actor, where actors just are just grandiose, like especially in, I've interviewed a lot of actors on press junkets and press tours. And, they're in like grandiose actor interview mode. I couldn't tell if that was coming out or if it was like a bit. Or if that's just like his natural way of being.
What do you think about the immunity dynamic? Kevin and I have talked about it on this show. It feels like immunity, it's weird to watch an entire episode and realize that the person's not going home.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little different. I can't tell if it's different in a good way or bad way. Maybe I'm being more charitable to the show. But when remember when Charlie got immunity just by virtue of being on Michelle's team? That's where it gets messy with me. And I'm like, man.
Yeah, the team stuff.
Too much team stuff early on. A lot of front loading of the team stuff this season. And it just felt like a couple episodes with Kevin. He had like the worst dish in a team challenge, but he was on the winning team, and we do like a scoring system for fantasy, and we just didn't know what to do. He's on the winning team, and that's always a kind of a quirk of Top Chef, is like someone will inevitably move on in the competition that deserved to go home because they were on the winning team. They were on the team red rather than team yellow. But I felt like when I read your power rankings, I was actually refreshed to get a just cook something. There was something refreshing to the chaos, even though it was so bizarre the way it was described and just how you had to fill it in. But you wrote on it is just like, make a dish and then create a good narrative.
Yeah.
You could create anything. And clearly Danny created something that was not chaotic, but like it was beautiful. And
the judges, I don't think, wanted chaos. Maddie Matheson, my favorite part of the episode was when Manny made that corn risotto. And when he was making it, they were kind of bagging on it. And they were like, what's chaos about that? Like for him, chaos was just like, I wanted to, this was a fond memory. And they're sort of making fun of it. And then when they actually serve it, Tom was like, this is great, but is it chaos? And Maddie Matheson goes, I think maybe chaos was the simplicity of it. Yes! And you're like, okay, like if you make something good enough, like audience will create a justification for it in their minds already. So like whatever, well, it doesn't matter.
I wrote that down in my notes. I was like, the chaos is in its simplicity. I'm like, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You know, and maybe the chaos is that he wasn't chaotic. Like maybe that's the subversive aspect of his dish, is that like maybe he's speaking like a meta commentary on like, what if chaos is just the absence of chaos?
What if chaos is the friends we met along the way, you know?
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, where it's like, all right, so on one hand, I think this is too open-ended and too open to like just narrative filling there. But then with the restrictive and the constraints of the previous episodes, Vince, I was kind of like, you know what? I do just kind of want to see these people cook.
Yeah. No, it's always, I do enjoy watching them try to wrap their minds around, you know, cook like a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Like, what does that mean? I mean, that's like a clear directive, but like to execute it makes no sense. Whereas this was like a completely unclear directive, and it was sort of ended up being like, just make what you want. And I think the second kind, or at least the kind where the limitations are straightforward, like it leads to better food for sure. I don't know that it's always like better TV, but the food definitely looked better this challenge than it had for a lot of them, I think, with some exceptions.
Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying this episode of Pack Your Knives and would like to listen to the rest of it, please become a paid subscriber.
Just go to packyourknives.com and sign up for an annual subscription. That's packyourknives.com.